Hello and welcome to our Frankly in Love live show. Today we're discussing Frankly in Love by David Yoon, and we are working with Penguin this month, and we're taking questions from you on Twitter using the hashtag Frankly Booksplosion. We'll also be taking questions in the chat. Just make sure you put the hashtag Frankly Booksplosion next to it so it catches our eye. We'll still be looking, but we might miss it. And also, we're taking questions on Instagram. On Jesse, I think on his stories has question thing, and on my story there's a question thing. So you can find us everywhere so we can discuss what you want to discuss about this book. We're going to start off with a non-spoilery section and talk about what this is about. Just so you know, I'm Christine.
I'm Jesse.
And I'm Kat.
And we're Booksplosion. Hey, we're a book club. We read books together every month and talk about them with you guys here. So subscribe if you haven't yet, because we want to chat with you. We want to have a community of people where we can gather and discuss books every month. So who wants to talk about what this is about in a non-spoilery way?
I guess I can.
I guess Jesse will.
I'm so confident. This book is about this boy named Frank Lee. Frank Lee in Love. And
I love that.
He is a Korean American, and his parents have these really high expectations set for him. And one of the things that they have for him is that they want him to date another Korean American, or just Korean, I guess. And he ends up falling for a white girl. And he decides that he is going to fake date this girl to help cover up the fact that he's actually dating a white girl, so his parents don't find out and they get mad at him and all that stuff. So that's kind of what it's about. There's obviously a lot more to it. I feel like Kat does a better job at describing this, but yes.
Was that a throw to Kat?
You kind of nailed the premise.
Yeah.
I feel like that's the big hook that gets you interested in it, is this kind of rom-com fake dating setup. But when you start reading the book, I think it's less of a rom-com and more of just a coming of age.
Yeah.
It definitely has rom-com elements and tropes and a lot of fun things like that. But it really is, it's long. It takes place over a longer period than I thought. Most of the school year of Frank's senior year, and college acceptances, and getting ready to go away, and just growing up. It's very coming of age.
Yeah, it's a coming of age. It's a dramedy. It's not so much a rom-com, but it's a dramedy with romance in it. Coming of age story, which is super, super fun. Should we talk about our thoughts? Non-spoiler. I loved this so much. I had the best time reading. I flew through it. It's funny. It's heartwarming. It's poignant. It has all the things I love in a contemporary novel, and I'm just so glad it was our book of the month. Jesse, Kat, who's next?
Go ahead, Kat.
I agree. This is just exactly what I want when I pick up a young adult contemporary rom-com coming of age novel. This was it. I loved it.
Yeah, I'm gonna add to the gush fest. I also loved it. Gave it a 5 out of 5 stars. I loved the characters. I loved that it was so much more than what I was expecting it to be. I kind of went into it being okay, this is going to be a very romance-heavy book. And while there is romance, obviously, I feel there's just so much more to it. We've got the family aspect, and he just packs in so many interesting topics throughout this book, and I really appreciated that. So it's a great book. Highly recommend if you haven't read it. Read it, come back and watch this live show.
It was so good, and he just does such a good job of describing that feeling of trying to open your parents up to new things, and they're just being just a wall. I think he says at one point it's trying to demand the wind change the way it's blowing. Nothing happens whenever he tries to talk to them, so it's just why bother? That frustrating sort of sense of just they're never going to change their ways, sort of a thing. And yeah, I highlighted so many of those passages because he did such a good job capturing that feeling and that frustration and like missing his sibling, because she would kind of be on his side, but without her there, he's just like a lone soldier with a sword up against like he did like kind of a Game of Thrones reference, like they are the wall. Oh my god, the wall, you know, the wall. What is it called? Is it just called the wall?
I don't know. I know Game of Thrones.
Oh my god. It's the wall to the north. Yeah. It's the wall. Okay. Like they are the wall, and he's just a dude with a sword standing staring at it, and like there's nothing he's gonna do to get past that. So yeah.
Yeah, that's one of the elements that like really cemented this as more of a coming of age novel, because it's about sort of like figuring out who you are separate from your parents. And also what was the quote about how like to be able to leave them, you have to see them. I don't remember. Like in order to leave them, you have to like be able to get
frustrated enough with them.
Yeah. I loved all of those, like all the family dynamics, and yeah, exactly what you were saying, Christine, about how like, you know, the parents can be set in their ways and very stubborn, and like the younger kids are like trying to get them to like be more open and like be more accepting, and it can just be very frustrating.
Yeah. He just did a really great job with it, and throughout the whole thing I was entertained and I was laughing and I was upset with him, and it was really, really good. And I love like he has this it's very like stream of consciousness voice, and like it just is my favorite. Do we have any questions? Do we want to talk about Brit? Like, what do you want to discuss first?
We're pretty much jumping into spoilery section now, right?
Oh, yeah.
We're going to be now jumping into spoilers. If you guys have not read this book, go read it. Definitely go read it. We all recommend it, I would say.
Yeah.
Come back and watch the rest of this live show and tell us your thoughts.
Yes.
All right.
For sure. So who was your favorite character other than Frank Lee?
Other than Frank Lee? I loved Q.
I loved Q as well.
I loved Q too.
Into this book, like
poor Q.
And like his dad was hilarious.
Yeah, Q's whole family, the sister as well.
Oh my god, his dad was so great. I forgot about that.
He was like trying to fit in and like use all this lingo to like fit in with the kids.
And it was always so funny. Like he was very aware that he was doing it like satirically, and it was amazing. Like Q's sister, who was just like kind of there. I was kept expecting her to like get into the plot a little bit more, but then she was just kind of there. I was
definitely expecting her to get more involved in the plot, especially because her and Frank ended up going to the same school.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm like, well, so like, do we need to get to know her a little bit more? Like, I'm interested in her. But I did really love that running joke of her like constantly borrowing his chargers and like them all back to him at the end. It was just like a rainbow of like chargers she's stolen over the year.
Yeah. How frustrating it was it to watch him dating Brett and not talk to him about the plan with Joy? I was just like, I don't know how their relationship would have changed if he told her, but I think it would definitely, like if he was just honest with her from the beginning, things would have went very differently. Like he probably wouldn't have ended up getting so close with Joy because he would have had her be confidant to talk about things with. Yeah, what do you guys think?
I mean, it's the drama of the book. Like that's the whole crux of like that.
Yeah, but like, oh god, I was just like, just tell her. Like either you'll break up, but she was just gonna get more and more hurt. Like it kept going, and I was just like, you don't love her, and he just says, I love you. Like I'm just like, dude, don't say it. Like, what are you doing? She's already dating you and in love with you, and you're like dating someone else on the side, and it just got worse and worse.
That like, I was like, okay, I was rooting for Brit and Frank at the beginning, obviously.
Yeah.
And like they had that like really like romantic scene where he like put together this song for her of like all the like sounds or whatever that he recorded, and she tells him that like she loves him or whatever, but you can tell that he doesn't love her back, and it's just so frustrating that he just spits it out and goes along with it even though he doesn't really feel that way.
like that was the moment to just like maybe break things off or like let it start being that way, so she's not let on to believe that he feels the same way. Oh.
And this could have been honest about like how he was feeling in that moment, where like, I'm not sure if I'm ready to say that. Like, he didn't have to like break up with her, but just be like, you know, this is like, it's a big step to be saying I love you. It's like,
I also like understand being young and like being in a moment like that. You just kind of like
oh
go,
yeah, no, it's totally believable.
Oh yeah,
okay, I love you too. Like,
Yeah.
But it's
like,
just like so frustrating. Like, I mean, he could have pulled a Rory and just like said, what did she say? Like, I don't know, or no, like thank you.
thank you.
I think she said thank you, or someone on some show said thank you. Like,
There's one where it's like, I love you, and it's like, and I love spending time with
and that's like Ross and Mona.
Yeah.
Like, he could have said something else just to let her know that he's not ready. Even like, I understand him saying it, but like, oh God, it's just so much worse.
I did like that both of the relationships that Frank had with the two girls were given maybe not like equal weight, but were both like given some commitment. Like, you were rooting for Britt and Frank in the beginning. Like, you really shipped them, and like they were cute together. They had good chemistry and good moments together. But then you also ship him and Joy.
Right.
I liked that it wasn't like, oh, Britt ends up being an evil, mean girl type, and like he's jealous or anything like that. Like, it wasn't like that. Britt was really cool, and I liked her. She just wasn't right for Frank.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what scene really put me on edge is when they like had that party at Frank's house or whatever, and Frank's parents were like cooking or whatever, and like Britt's there and everything, and like Britt's like trying to just like make a good impression, and then
Tried so hard.
Joy or whatever, and I was just like, oh my gosh.
That was a great scene. That was just peak fake dating. Like,
yeah, that was the rom-com scene.
Yes.
But like the wedding scene with him and Joy was just so sad, because you know, like Britt's still over here just thinking that like they're in love, you know, and that he would never do something like that.
Yeah.
Like, I like Joy, but
Yeah.
I feel like the build of their relationship wasn't I don't know, it wasn't as fun because we were already on board with Britt and him.
Yeah.
Mm.
And it was kind of sad and frustrating. So we were like, Joy is cool, but can you like just break things off with Britt, or at least like let her to believe that things are not amazing, because she thinks things are amazing.
The whole thing about like Britt realizing that Frank's mom didn't even know that they were together. Like,
yeah. And she was so cool about it though, too.
Yeah.
Like, Britt's parents are like hippies, right? Like,
I like that.
I love that too. They were like always matching.
Like, offers him a beer, and he's like, "I'm 18," and the dad's like, "Oh, how about some weed then?" Just kidding.
Yeah, but weren't they always wearing matching clothes? When she
Yeah, they're like wearing matching jumpsuits all the
I
time.
know, it's so funny.
I love it. And I just love their whole story. Like, they're architects together, and they like build all this cool furniture and stuff whenever they want. Like, it was very cute.
Yeah. And yeah, Q's parents were great. I really enjoyed also the arc between Frankly and his dad. I think that was like really, and the mom. At the end, I was just crying, like everything that happened, and the stuff with Hannah, which was so sad. Like when she was pregnant, and she was just like, the mom knew because of an email, but like she didn't know if they're gonna see her or see the baby. Ever. It was sad.
Very, very sad.
Yeah, that was definitely the like more angsty drama edge to this book, because like there's fun rom-com stuff, but there's also like so much serious stuff between the families, and also dealing with like racism and just like all this stuff all together. Like, there is a lot of like heavier, deeper stuff going on than just the fun rom-com, but we also got the fun rom-com, so we just got the best of both worlds.
Yeah, it's done really, really well. I feel like all of it integrated and woven together very nicely.
The Hannah Frank relationship was also just really sad because you could tell that like he really needed his sister and like he could very easily like reach out to her. So that was frustrating.
For sure. It was really sad, and like I really wanted her to come back sooner. I wanted her to come into, but I think that's part of it. Like we want her there just like he wants her there, and she's just not. It's cool that I think Q is going to be out in Massachusetts, so I'll have someone out there.
Yeah.
Gloria asked, what was your reaction to Q being gay? And I think it was like sad that I guess like Frank wasn't paying enough attention to him for so long to like kind of be there for him to talk to him earlier. But I'm glad in the end that like they talked and it all was cool.
Yeah.
I mean, I actually didn't love that. I mean, I was
like, sad for him the whole time because he was like ignored.
Like finding that out at the very end just made me feel even worse for Q. Because like, first of all, when I was reading this book, I was so excited and happy that we had like a great platonic friendship between two boys who like weren't afraid to like show affection.
Yeah, that was really cute.
Like just such a great platonic friendship, I thought. So finding out that like Q actually liked him, like he was the one who Q liked and Q maybe had a crush on him for a while, like that just made me really sad for Q, because it's like just this whole layer of angst of like being in love with your straight best friend who's like dating all these other girls, and like you also know that your straight best friend who you're in love with, their parents are racist, and it's just like I just felt so
like everything with Q is really sad. I feel like he has
and he didn't get it to Stanford. I was so upset.
He didn't get his what? Oh, the Stanford. Oh my god, I forgot about that. That was so sad.
I was like crying tears of joy when he got a 1600. I was like, my baby got a perfect score.
I love their little meeting where they like they did their SAT scores, and then the meeting when they did their like they all waited with their college thing. That was so cute. But yeah, Q was like he got the short end of the straw. With is that what it is? The short end of the stick?
Yeah, short straw or the short end of the
straw in so many ways in this book. But maybe if there was a spin-off book, it would be Q's book in Massachusetts, I feel.
I would hope so. I would like that, because
that would be nice.
Q deserves some happiness, and like
I like forgot how this ended with the Stanford thing because I read this so long ago. That was so sad.
Like they were planning to be roommates together. I'm just
God, yeah, that was so
they got into the school and he didn't.
Yeah. And he broke up with Joy too at the end, right? Like everyone kind of ended going their separate ways.
That was a very interesting choice.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting because you also know that like that's not the end of their relationship forever. Like they've been family friends for so long that you know that they're going to be in each other's lives in the future, and like they might come back to each other at some point because they mean so much to each other. But I don't know. I like that we ended with like not him like in a relationship and getting married at 18 kind of thing.
Yeah. Like it was a realistic ending.
Yeah, totally.
I won't say what it reminded me of because that's a spoiler. But yeah, I hope Q finds happiness in Massachusetts, and I don't know what I hope for Joy and Frank Lee. Like, I feel like their relationship kind of, I couldn't feel how serious they felt about each other because of how it started. It probably feels like they'll definitely like get back together in the future because of how interwoven their lives are.
Right.
But how did you feel about that the jock kid that she was dating? Like he was the sweetheart, even though he was like kind of comes off jockey in the beginning.
Yeah, I mean he was like a bro character, but in a fun way. Like he was still like a good guy.
Yeah, he's like a twist on that sort of stereotype, which is nice.
I did like that one line where he punches Frank. And he's like, "You steal my girl," and Frank says, like, "No, like we stole each other." Like, I really liked that part. Like, yeah, it was cute.
Yeah, like he was so chill about their friendship, and it was just like such a like sucker punch when he found out that they were together.
Yeah.
We have a question here.
Cool.
Does anyone else feel like Frank faced 0 negative consequences for cheating and lying to his girlfriend?
I mean, I feel like he was really guilty about it.
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest consequence. And he was punched in the face.
Right.
I mean, it also, like, he was lying to her about, like, the fake dating with Joy, but as soon as, like, him and Joy, like, wanted to become something serious, and, like, he did cheat on Britt, but he ended it with her the next time he saw her, so it wasn't like, you know, he was, like, sneaking around with Joy while dating Britt. Like, it wasn't the worst kind of situation.
Yeah, it's also, like, I feel like, again, like, they're all so young, and like the way he handled it in general, once he knew, like, he didn't realize it was happening. That's like, I feel like it was like a subconsciously, like, they were falling for each other.
Yeah.
And then once he realized it, he immediately was like, hey.
Right.
And so I think he did it, like, and at least he did face up to it, like, the second he realized what was happening.
Yeah.
But he could have done it sooner.
Not saying it's okay what he did.
It's okay. He could have done it sooner, but he handled it like not worse. It could have been much worse at this age. I feel like there could have been a lot more avoidance.
Yeah. Definitely. I feel like there's another question.
Let me see. I know I'm reading these questions now. Oh my God. When his dad went back to the store like a week after being shot, I was so confused. Like, I knew something bad was gonna happen, and I was just like, I don't understand. Why is he at a wedding? What's like, he should be on bed rest. Like, I've recently seen Jane the Virgin, and Michael was on bed rest. Oh, is this a spoiler? Yes. But you're just on bed rest for like 4 weeks. Like,
I just kind of thought, like, oh, he's a workaholic, so he's just...
Yeah, he is, but like, God, like, I was just like so worried something bad, and of course something bad is already happening, and that's probably why he went back. But it was just very, very sad.
Yeah,
I was so frustrated
to have like a shooting be a part of this book. I was like, what?
Yeah,
it shocked me. I was like, okay.
I was kind of expecting it just because they were describing the store over and over again. But yeah, it was just like doubly like ill that he was, and I kept being like, Frank, why aren't you more concerned? Your dad's back to work after like 5 seconds, and like he keeps ignoring everything you ask when you ask if he's okay. Like,
this question. Can we talk about the parental relationship? I have parents like that, less bad, but like that, and because he got with Joy, problems were conveniently avoided. Thoughts? I mean, we talked a little bit about the relationship.
Yeah, I think it's very realistic the way his parents got like so excited they didn't see anything else with him and Joy, because that's what they wanted, and you see what you want to see when it's like lines up with what you're thinking in your brain.
And I think the parents, we do see them coming around at the end, because you know, they start accepting. I forgot Hannah's husband's name.
I want to say Joe, but it's not Joe.
I don't remember.
But he met him, and he accepted him and was like, "You're going to be the best dad for the baby." Like, it's small progress by the end of the book, but like you can see that the parents are starting to come around and be a little more open-minded and less racist.
Yeah. This is so irrelevant, but Olivia just texted me asking how was the Joker movie. Have I not posted about how I love the Joker?
Your Instagram stories
1,000 times? Like, she legit replied to that story and was like talking about the Joker last week. So what the hell is her issue? Like, anyway, sorry, irrelevant. Back to Franklin.
Do you guys have a favorite chapter name?
So many. I loved how it's just like something random that he's gonna say in the chapter. I propose to Joy. I love when he like right in the beginning, he's like, Joy, when shall we merge the houses of Lee and like something else.
I love when they got the shared calendar when he's like, should we do a shared calendar? And she's like, you nerd. And he's like, so.
There's so many good ones. I'm trying to see.
Looking through them as well.
Yeah. Hey, internet, what are? See, since I read this like weeks ago now, they're not as good in my mind.
Gem swapping? What is that referring to?
Gem swapping.
Oh,
the D&D campaign where like there was a rogue character who like swapped out real gems with fake ones. And so that was a whole metaphor to like you're gem swapping your girlfriends kind of thing. Like
oh man.
Gosh. I was like getting so just like frustrated for him reading when he had to like go pick up Joy and drop off Joy and then go back to like his neighborhood and go get Britt and then go on their date and then drop Britt off and then go pick up Joy. It's just like, can't Joy get a ride home from someone else? Like this just feels like a lot of work for him. And does she ever drive it back and forth and back and forth? But yeah, I loved all of the total perfect mind control, all of the chapter titles. I think my favorite is I Propose to Joy.
Somebody wants to know, did Kat understand the page with only Korean characters?
Oh, did you?
Did not. I could read it out loud to you, and I understand. I know some of the words, but I have no idea what exactly was happening in that conversation. It was really cool to see so many Korean characters in a book, though. Like just a whole page. I was like,
yeah, just like,
oh, cool. I can read this.
I was like, whoa.
I didn't understand any of it, but I could read it.
Yeah, and you really, again, it puts you in Frank's shoes. Like, he's just like,
yeah, you're not supposed to be able to understand it.
He doesn't know what they're saying, and he's frustrated.
Yeah. And so, a couple people are talking about
Google translated it.
I mean, a Google Translate is going to be a hot mess because,
right.
But like you might be able to get the gist of what they were saying.
Right.
I did want to do that. I wanted to like translate each word and like figure out like what they were saying, but I just haven't had time. Maybe I'll do it as like a Korean study project.
We have this question. What was the point of that scene where they described the camera and the gun in the store? I thought maybe Frank's parents would see the tape of him and Britt kissing, but nothing happened.
I don't know if I remember this.
I remember he put the
cameras.
Yeah, but that was just because like his dad wouldn't leave the store unattended on his own. So, like the cameras were a way for like the dad to be able to be home and be able to monitor the store and feel okay about that.
Right.
I have a question from Instagram. How do you think he would have felt if Frank told his parents the truth? Like right off the bat? I don't think anything would have gone well at all. Frank would have been like grounded. Britt would have been very sad. Yeah. Like if he told the truth at any point, I feel like everything would have been really bad.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, I don't know, and he could have told, he'd have to like slowly ease them into it like he was kind of doing with Britt. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know.
That is one element that you kind of expect with the fake dating trope when it like blows up inevitably.
Yeah.
We didn't ever get to see that because like it was the parents who he was hiding from. Like he didn't care if anyone else knew who he was dating, really. But yeah, so that's one kind of a little unresolved bit. But again, like there was no good time for him to say it. Like as soon as he told the parents that or talked about it or even kind of implied it at all, like they would have grounded him forever and it would have been over.
I know. Like it would all just come down around him. Like
because they were still, especially in the beginning, they were still so stuck in their mindset. Like they didn't even talk to Hannah still because someone who wasn't Korean. or ended up marrying someone who wasn't Korean.
Yeah, and that like really wages a lot on Frank's mental state regarding like all of that. So he kind of felt like he was forced to lie in that respect.
Yeah. I mean, even just because of that, he doesn't even invite his best friend over to hang out at the house because, like,
yeah,
he doesn't want to subject him to that.
Yeah. Yeah. Poor Q.
Poor Q. Q deserves better.
Q needs his own story.
He does.
Oh yeah, Emily said that they put the cameras up after he and Britt broke up, so they wouldn't have seen them kissing anyways.
Okay. Oh shit! What did I just do? Okay. Let's see. How do you guys feel about Joy in general? Like, she was cool, but I feel like I wanted to get to know them better as a couple once they were a couple. Did you guys feel that? Like, I like easing up to it. Like, they had this like sarcastic relationship that was fun. But then when they were a couple, it was just like they're automatically like just like perfect in there. And I was like, where are all their like cutesy coupley stuff?
I think that just goes along with them knowing each other for so long.
I know.
Yeah. Role with each other, but I would have liked to have seen more of like their cutesy early relationship.
Just to have like the feeling like that they're like getting into a relationship.
Yeah.
I guess there's that scene where they're like in the car at the mall. I think that's their like cutesy date scene.
Yeah.
I was gonna say something else. I lost it. Dang it.
I have a good question from Twitter.
Yeah, let's do it.
This is from Nicole, and they ask, was anyone interested in the politics between Frank's parents and their friends? It reminded me of the moment you have as a kid where the veil gets pulled back and you learn adults are more complicated than you assume.
Yeah.
It was really interesting, actually.
Yeah.
Especially because, like, apparently it had been going on for a long time where Joy's parents were, like, really awful to Frank's parents or whatever.
Yeah, like subtly awful all the time.
Little jabs and stuff.
Yeah.
I thought that was really interesting because for the beginning of the book, like Frank is kind of in this mentality, like, you know, if I date someone Korean, then everything will be fine. Like there's that's the only requirement to getting along kind of thing. But then we see that like even within these Korean families, there are still class disparity and still like drama and things that stem from that. And yeah, again, it's part of that coming of age thing of like having like the wool lifted from your eyes and you see like, oh, your parents are like complex people with complex histories and relationships with other people. Like, what?
Yeah.
For sure.
A really interesting element to the story.
That was such a frustrating scene too. And it's like, because Frank's just working so hard to please them on this one front that he's like, this is their big thing. And then when the big thing is like, no, there's also another thing. It's just, as a teenager, when you don't like really, you're not thinking about these complex things beforehand, how they have all these other stuff going on. It's just so frustrating. It's like you can't win.
Yeah. Oh, what? Nicole says, how do you feel about the fact that there's a sequel? There's a sequel?
What? Is it about Q?
When was this announced?
When was this announced?
I'm going to Goodreads. What?
Googling right now.
Wait, what kind of sequel is there to
Yeah,
this?
what kind of
It's on Goodreads.
It's on Goodreads? What does it say?
It says nothing. Expected publication 2020.
Maybe it's about Hannah.
Maybe?
Or
I
Q.
didn't know that.
Or Q. Maybe Hannah and Q. Maybe it's Boston.
What?
Interesting. I'm excited about that.
Oh, I don't think I've seen any official announcement from David. Like, this might just be a Goodreads librarian being a little overeager.
Better not be getting my hopes up, people.
I mean, like, I feel like whatever it is, it'll be like a spin-off. Because I don't feel like we're going to follow Frankly again. Unless,
I feel like
we've seen his story. Like, this is a full arc.
Maybe we'd see, like, bits of, like, what he's up to or something.
In college, yeah. Or, like, if there's a I feel like Q is the
You're
like,
checking up on him or something.
yeah, I feel like Q would be the lead. It'd either have to be Q or something with Q involved.
Yeah.
I'm really perplexed about what this next, if it was like even if it was a companion, like, would it just be new adult style, like in college? Because all our characters are in college now.
Right.
Yeah. So
I don't see anything on David Yoon's website that has any news.
People are saying that Frank, what?
I was gonna say, so everybody go tweet David Yoon to tell us if
Can he confirm or deny what is happening? What can you tell us about it?
A lot of people are saying that Frank faced no consequence. Like, this is the Sabrina is like the second or third person saying that he faced no consequences for cheating on Britt. But like, what kind of consequences are you wanting him to face? Like jail? Like,
I'm not sure. I mean, he ruined his relationship with Britt and Woo, and he got punched in the face.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what else could have happened.
He's not like married, so it's not like he's gonna get like divorced and lose all his money. I don't know. What are we?
They're 17. What do you want him to go to jail?
I don't know what to do. Like spank him, like, whippings on the pole. Like I don't know.
Detention for cheating.
You're expelled. Just socially, well, socially he does face, like, I mean, like, again, he's ruined his relationship with Britt, but even like Britt is pretty cool, so like I feel like eventually they'll be cool about it. Yeah, he's only human, and I feel like that he'll learn and grow from his mistakes because he's a good person.
Yeah, he's a teenager who made a dumb decision.
Yeah.
And, you know, there are plenty of people who do way worse things and never experience any consequences in real life. Like, you don't like consequences don't always balance out like everything that a person did. So yeah, I don't know what could have happened to make it seem like he faced more consequences. I don't know.
Oh, Emily says, I felt like no one cared that he cheated. Like I would have been happy if Q or Joy called him out for it. Or was mad at him for like 2 chapters.
Well, Joy is like the one who cheated with him. So that's not, but Q is like his best friend, and like he knows that he's going through shit too. Q is so understanding. Like he's so.
Q did kind of
say
some judgment, like when he first thought like what's going on with you and Joy before Frank like explained the plan.
He say like this is gonna blow up in your face or something.
Yeah. Like he warned him stuff.
Yeah. But I mean,
plus I feel like Q might have been a little bit overwhelmed with his own feelings. Frank too, you know, like he probably
he's on like a whole different level of like sadness. So it's so sad actually. Now I'm just remembering like there's like one point where he likes somebody and he's like, who do you like? And
in a relationship or whatever.
Yeah, and then he even has Joy ask like, who do you like? And it's just like,
catch him off guard.
Wow.
That was one thing I didn't think that the person that Q liked was Frank for a long time.
Yeah, I didn't either. I thought maybe it was Joy
or Joy. I thought it was Britt or Joy. But yeah, I don't. There was a couple parts in the book where like Q was like referencing the person that he liked, and he used she/her pronouns. So like I didn't even assume that was a possibility.
Right.
Like I thought for maybe like, well, maybe, you know, he's gay, maybe he likes Frank or something, but then he was like, oh, she likes somebody else, and I was like, oh, okay, so it is a girl.
Yeah. I feel like also, he did say that, I think, and that there is, but like even if I knew, like even if they hadn't said that, I wouldn't have thought it was Frank. Like I thought maybe it was like someone that we knew that was in a relationship already, or it was Joy or Britt. Like but yeah, he deserves a story there. I feel like Q is everything is sad. The more we talk about it, just like, wow.
Yeah, that's what got me at the end of this book. I was just like, I loved it, but I was also a little bit down because of Q's story.
Right.
Because like all the like angstiest stuff happens to him at the end. It's like, oh, he's off at a college by himself and he didn't find love and he's not with his best friend anymore. And it was just so sad.
Yeah.
Somebody asked,
yeah, go ahead.
Did either of you listen to the audiobook by chance?
I didn't. I bought the audiobook along with the Kindle book, and I just like loved it so much. I just was like sat there reading it, so I didn't even turn it on. Did you guys?
No, I didn't.
No, I didn't do the audiobook.
Okay, we can't talk about the audiobook then. Sorry, guys.
I know. Was it good? Did you guys like the audiobook?
If you listen to the audiobook and your thoughts on it.
What'd you think, Abby? Oh, and Sabrina. Oh, you guys both listened to it. It must have been good, right? It was okay.
It was
I feel like when you're reading and you like love the voice so much in your own head, it's hard to like want to switch to the audiobook because you want to like say it the way you think that they're saying it. She didn't like the book at all. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh. A couple people in the chat I feel like didn't like it, which is surprising to me. But what do you guys think of Frankly's mom's journey? Like at the end, she had, I feel like, completely kind of opened up her outlook, which is really nice.
Yeah.
And as I was touched when she had these moments of softness with Frank, and so like she's got a really sad like story too. I mean, she's only like what 40 and her husband's gone.
Yeah, I want to know. I thought that was a really cool scene where Frank was like looking at like old mementos from their old life, and he was like, you know, he's never really going to understand his parents in that way, and like they have so much life that they never talk about. And yeah, I don't know. I just thought it was really interesting. I would have loved to see more of the mom's like inner life, like what's going on with her, like especially at the end, like after losing her husband and like her kids are off at college and off.
Yeah, she's alone.
Yeah, I'm curious about what's up with her.
Yeah, she might have her own Eat, Pray, Love journey. She could be a spin-off book.
I want the spin-off book of Diane. Yeah.
Yeah, there's just a lot. There's a lot of different storylines that we don't really get as clear of a look because we're seeing from Frank's point of view, and his parents are very private about everything that's going on in their like personal bubble. You know what scene I really liked? When they went to that festival and they met those guys who were doing like Mexican Korean fusion. I feel like that was so cool. And they were so nice. Just like randomly. And now, did he get his number or something so that they could be friends?
I don't know. Yeah, they like traded numbers or something.
So they can keep in contact. What if the spinoff is their story?
That'd be fun. I'm so curious about the spinoff. What is it going to be?
There's so much. A prequel. Allison says a prequel of Frank's parents. Gosh, there's a lot. Do we have any more questions, y'all? Before we talk about next month's book of the month. Let me check Instagram. Is it worth the read or not? I think it's definitely worth the read.
I think if you like contemporary coming of age, definitely.
Yeah. Somebody's question is talk about the Hunger Games. Well,
go ahead and talk about our next books.
Yeah, let's talk about next month's book because I'm already really loving it.
Oh, you started it?
Yeah, I'm only like 35 pages in, but I love Ruta's writing. I love like the style of she has an ensemble cast almost, And
So
we
the next Booksplosion book of the month is The Fountains of Silence.
oh yeah. And so we see the point of view from a bunch of different characters, and then their lives start to like intersect, and it's done so beautifully. This takes place in 1957 Spain. I think our lead is Anna, who's on the cover, and she works at the Hilton Castellanos or something in Spain. So Spain is under the dictator rule of Francesco Franco, and they've just opened up their borders to tourism in different aspects to bring like more business to Spain. So the hotel's open to a lot of American business people, and she works there as, I think, the maid right now, but she has really good English, and she's looking to advance in her area there. But yeah, she's 20, I think, which is cool. And her siblings are also all working, and they both lost their parents in, I think, the war. Like, this is all like they've talked about it barely because I'm like 30 pages in. So it's kind of like you're getting a sense for them. And I think it's going to be about these siblings and their lives. And there's an American who's like 18 who's staying in this hotel room that she's been assigned to. So I think there's going to be maybe a romance there.
You're making me realize that I completely butchered the description for this book in my most recent
No,
reading.
I don't think you did, Jesse, because I just think you were describing David's perspective more than Anna's.
That's David, yeah, the American.
Now I have a great understanding of the book because of both of your summaries.
But yeah, so I mean,
are you reading with your eyes or are you audiobooking?
with my eyes. I like to read Ruta with my eyes.
I like to read Ruta with my
I like to see all her words.
Yeah, her writing is really beautiful, like so cinematic, and like just sweeps you into the story and the world.
Very much. And they're living in just a very oppressive society. And like between each chapter, there's excerpts from like just real documents and stuff, because Ruta does so much research. And like she was just talking about, like Anna is very enamored with American culture because she wants to travel. She's not allowed to. Like, women aren't allowed to travel without their husbands. They're just very much drilled into them that like their purpose is to serve, and that their purpose is to get married and have produced children. And there's like actually says in like one of the documents, like, do not pretend to be equal to men. And like that line already, I was just like, wow. And like, she's like, women in the United States, you know, they travel, they don't need their husband's permission to leave the country. They like go on airplanes and stuff. And her sister's just like, well, that's not the life we live in. So, and she tells her, and it's just like really sad. And Anna's like, if we don't talk about this, then how will things ever change? Yeah.
Someone in the comments says the audiobook has multiple narrators. So it's like a full cast audio.
Oh, that's really cool.
That's interesting.
I want to see it with my eyes. So. But audiobook is a great option then. But yeah, so this is our October book of the month. And then
someone asked about our live show. Do we have a date set? Is it?
We don't yet.
Yeah, there's one on the calendar.
Let me see.
Or no, there's one on our list of dates. We said it might be November 2nd, but it might not be. So.
Oh, I didn't write it down, but it might be November 2nd.
I think it's probably November 2nd.
Yeah, I think that's the best date. Let's say November 2nd, unless we moved it to the end of October, but that's too soon, I think. Yeah. So November 2nd.
Most likely, but check our Twitter in a couple
Please
weeks.
follow us on Twitter and Instagram.
For sure there.
And we'll let you know for sure. Yes. And then our November book of the month is Cursed, illustrated by Frank Miller and written by Thomas Wheeler. It's illustrated, which is like super cool for a book. I was gonna say a real book, which is not the right word, for a big book for a older book. What is the word for an adult book? Look at that.
This is a King Arthur retelling of sorts.
Yeah, somebody tell what this is about.
It follows
I feel like, yeah, go ahead.
follows a girl named Nimue, and she doesn't have the best reputation in her village because she's dealt with like dark magic, and so her village isn't like super friendly with her and stuff. And then they end up getting slaughtered, and she tries to find out who slaughtered them and stuff like that. So
You're like, and yeah.
I mean, the tagline of this book is, it's a Excalibur story. It's the sword and the stone situation, and it's like the sword chooses the king, but what happens when the sword chooses a queen? Is like their catchy tagline, which is really cool. I'm not very familiar with the Arthurian legend. Like I know Nimue, is that her name? She's like a character in the Arthurian legend. Like, so I don't know. I'm really unfamiliar with it, but I'm excited to jump in and read it.
Yeah. I feel like the synopsis is kind of purposely vague because anytime I read it and I try to like tell someone what it's about, I'm just like, it's about if the sword was supposed to be for a king and she's a woman gets to pull it out and she's gonna be a queen, but it's so controversial, or I don't know.
This is also going to be a Netflix series. Did we say that already?
I don't think we said that already, but that's really cool. I'm excited about that.
Should we announce our December book of the month?
Yeah, we should announce it.
Yeah, sure.
None of us have it yet.
We don't have it yet, so that's why we haven't announced it. We're like waiting for it to come in the mail. Somebody announce it.
We will be reading A Curse So Dark and Lonely by BRIGID KEMMERER. I should have looked up her name first.
I think you're right.
This is the first book in a duology. The second book is coming out in January, right?
It's a fantasy, right?
Yeah. Let me.
Fairy tale retelling.
Yeah. It's been a while since I looked at the synopsis. Like I don't have the book to check it.
We talked about this.
Yeah, because we like
for a while, so I feel like a lot of you might have already read it, which is exciting.
Yeah.
So the second book is coming out in January, so we're reading the first book in December. Get ready for that second book. But yeah, A Curse So Dark and Lonely. I also was been afraid to like announce it without the book because A Curse So Dark and Lonely just sounds like a lot of fantasy books. And I don't want to get it wrong.
It's apparently a retelling of Beauty and the Beast. So that's
cool. So that should be fun. And we haven't done a fairy tale retelling in a while.
Yeah.
This doesn't count as a fairy tale retelling. It's like a retelling of Tister.
Okay.
Is it a fairy tale?
Okay, I'm looking it up on Goodreads too, and it looks like it's 3 books.
Ooh.
Like, well, the second book comes out in January, and then there's a third untitled book that's in the series. I don't know how connected it is, though, because Goodreads is currently vague on this book at the time.
Also, that live show, the live show for the A Curse So Dark and Lonely live show, is like our favorite live show of the year because we're like our
end of the year.
What else do we do on that live show?
We do all these different what is it called in the yearbook when you get all the
senior superlatives?
Yeah, for like our favorite book of the year, our favorite Booksplosion book of the year. We rank all the books that we've read, like our least favorites. We do like all different categories. We get categories from you guys, I think, and then we run through and talk about that, and it's super fun. So the first half of the live show, we talk about our book of the month, and the second half of the live show is all like superlatives and kind of reflecting back on everything we've read this year, and it's super fun.
Ranking everything and arguing over our ranks and
like favorite characters and like least favorite character, like most annoying character. Yeah, we sort all the characters too sometimes into Hogwarts houses.
It's a fun time. This is the show that happens usually before Christmas.
Yeah, so it'll probably be around like 19th, 20th sort of thing.
Yeah, probably, but we're not sure yet.
We'll let you know.
We also have all the books for our next lineup listed down below in the description, so you can easily access that and find the books.
Yes.
Also, we have our Booksplosion live show happening this next month.
Yeah, Booksplosion.
I think we have it on the 16th.
And we're doing a fears and anxieties episode for October. So we're looking for emails with like your weirdest fears or like weirdest anxieties or stories about like weirdest fears and weirdest anxieties or what your boggart would be if a boggart came out of the closet in front of you. It's going to be really fun. So email us at emailsareawesome@gmail.com, and the R is like Toys R Us. It's just like an R. Emails are awesome. There we go.
Yeah,
Jesse,
great job, Jesse.
I'm excited for that one.
Yes.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
Do we have a date? Did we set a date?
We did.
Oh yeah, the 16th. It's the 16th.
Like, I was like, I swear we did, but I'm looking at my unsynced calendar, so I'm like, I'm not sure.
It's the 16th. Yeah, but email us. It's gonna be great. And I'm so excited for more themed episodes. Like these themes are gonna be super fun.
We brainstormed some for the next couple months, and we
literally wrote out themes all the way through next March or April. We're ready.
themes for days.
Thank you guys so much for joining us for our Frankly in Love discussion. We loved this book, and
Frankly, we loved it.
And frankly, we loved it. And we're discussing Fountains of Silence by Ruta Sepetys next month, probably on November 2nd. But follow us on Booksplosion, Instagram, or Twitter, and we will let you know. Thanks for watching, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
The longest.